Hey everyone, I'm back once again, and I had another follow-up video for the work in progress landscape shader that I've been putting together inside of Unreal. Um, Once again, my goals for this project being to use the latest version or more recent version of Unreal Engine, in this case 5.6.1, and use new tool sets like PCG or RVT textures and what have you to um, remain constructive inside of a procedural workflow for terrain and landscape details. So far, I've been at it with an auto landscape material. So this height map I imported from something I made in Gaia, and I've used it to put together the shape of the terrain, and then procedurally it generates a set of masks that drive things such as grass or gravel and cliffside information, even mud and water. And I can dial all this in and out with the material instance. So if I want more water or more grass or whatever, these things I can just tweak on the fly, and I can get something looking pretty nice. Um, as well, the slope information itself, I've made a blueprint that can take that texture, which is output as a as a runtime virtual texture from my master material, and bake it to a render target. So I can then have um, that masking texture as a resource in my PCG graph, which drives the placement of things such as grass or other instanced pieces of geometry. For now, I'm just masking out the grass so I can place this template nanite grass and see how it works. Um, and going forward, of course, I'm going to have to, place things such as rocks or anything else my heart desires, and see how that goes. Um, but this is just me trying to get the system working. Um, And you can see that here if I go into my instance and I fly down to my debug channel, I switch on debug, it'll show you what I mean. So here we have everything red or green or blue is all part of that slope information. You can see that there's no grass being generated here on the watery dirt regions, and yeah, I found that this method was pretty nice because PCG offers a lot of flexibility with how you can play with the size and shape of your instances and your point data. Um, I tried initially to try and incorporate it within the master material using what's called landscape grass, and this honestly was not as intuitive as I wanted it to be. It was, I think it's more of a method used with painting the terrain as you go within the layering system they have inside of the landscape toolset. In my case, I'm really just relying on just slope information and keeping things as um, procedural as possible. So um, having PCG drive this part of the journey was I think more intuitive for me anyway. And but yeah, as you can see, this stuff is pretty useful, and when you're viewing things in such a manner, I can go up to here. I can say grass. Let's see, grass slope power. Let's try 2, and you can see it update in real time. So if I want less grass or more of it, these values can prove very useful. So I'll just come here and turn this off. We can see selection. Um, these things like mud and water. I'm still dialing in, the final look at things, of course, but it looks, from at a glance, pretty nice as time goes on. So there's a lot of room here for improvement, and I'm pretty excited to keep it going. Um, and some extra things I've learned along the way. Um, Another new feature you can find, I guess, in the latest version of Unreal is nanite displacement for terrain and things of that nature. I've tried using that feature for this project, and it was compatible. Like it was actually displacing things according to a height map that I brought into my material. But I found a very steep performance cost for this approach. You can see I turned it off for now, so this is removed for the time being in my material outputs. But yeah, I thought, well, it's not a. It seemed to be a pretty negligible improvement. It was a little too subtle, and dialing in the tessellation with displacement fading techniques. So keeping things tessellated up close to the camera and less tessellated further away would help improve the solution, but the optimization. But even then, it's still I was like, wasn't too. It didn't seem like it was worth it. So if I go into my nanite triangles, you'll see that things are still set to normal. The foliage itself is still a nanite mesh, which is pretty great. I don't have to worry about LODs. But yeah, as I was saying, for now, I thought, well, I'll just rely on parallax occlusion mapping with normal map techniques to get this landscape blended in. And it works pretty well as is, so there's not much fuss going on there. If I wanted to keep using nanite displacement, I think that would be fine, but I would certainly suggest, or for me anyway, I would only use it on like static meshes that I was placing along the terrain itself. So things like cliff rocks or mud piles, anything that might be even placed with a PCG system. I'm sure, things like that, you'd have more flexibility with the amount of tessellation and offsetting within those materials. And yeah, you can then even blend it in with the surrounding terrain with an RVT texture. I'm sure, things could be much more flexible in that way. Another thing I've learned, when initially, I think in my last video, I was talking about how Lumen doesn't seem to appreciate nanite foliage very much at the start. You'd typically get a lot of flickering or splotchy shadow information. It just looks very off and yeah, not very realistic. You could go into the post-process volume and get rid of that with just nuking the, what do you call it, the screen traces setting here. Right now mine is set to on. However, I found that if you go into the material for the foliage itself and you come down to something like this is my foliage material for now. If I switch the shading model to two-sided foliage, and I guess just keep this checked on two-sided, a lot of those issues will seem to disappear. You might get some strange shadow information here and there, but for now, I think that eliminated a lot of my lighting issues with foliage, or with grass anyway, and things seem to be blending in a more transparent fashion. I'm even using an RVT texture, so where the grass contacts the terrain, it'll start to blend into the runtime virtual texture that showcases the base color for that landscape, as well as when it goes into the distance, the base color for the grass will offset into that RVT texture for base color. So you'll see the grass kind of transition into that background color setting, and then transition back to its like original albedo self when it's close to the camera. So I was playing around with getting those functions to work with the depth fade and all that good stuff. And yeah, I think this landscape, of course, still very work in progress. Going forward, I'm going to continue adding more variation with the grass, and working at the of course the grass itself. both the landscape and the instance geometry. I'll likely make a new set of foliage for that and interspace it with flowers and rocks and all that fun stuff. Um, and I think, yeah, it's been a very thought-provoking project so far. I've been learning quite a few new things. Um, and I'm trying to think, is there anything else I could mention? Um, I would say not so much. Well, and anyway, this has been my progress as of late. And of course, if you guys ever have any thoughts or questions or anything like that, if you want to tell me this sucks or hey, looking pretty good, feel free to leave a comment, and I will certainly appreciate reading it. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. So I'll keep you posted. See you soon. Bye.